On my retirement day, as I walked through San Quentin State Prison's death row corridor for the last time, inmate Rodriguez approached me. What he whispered in my ear was powerful enough to end Warden Thompson's career in the electric chair. My name is Captain David Rodriguez. I'm 48 years old, and for the past 25 years I've been working as security chief at California's toughest prison, San Quentin State Prison. This historic prison on San Francisco Bay housed America's most dangerous criminals. Death row, maximum security, life sentences. I was responsible for 4,000 inmates. That morning when I started my final shift at 7 a.m., everything was normal. The corridors I'd walked thousands of times over 25 years, familiar sounds, prison routine. But this day was different. Today I was retiring, and the farewell ceremony planned by Warden Michael Thompson was waiting for me. At 10 a.m. I was called to Warden Thompson's office. He was sitting behind his large mahogany desk looking out at San Francisco Bay. "David, 25 years of excellent service," he said, standing up. "Nobody knows San Quentin better than you. What are you planning to do after retirement?" "Rest. Go fishing," I said. "I've had enough stress for 25 years." Thompson smiled, but there was something in his eyes. He wasn't comfortable. "David, those inmates on death row, you have very close relationships with them. Sometimes they become too talkative. After retirement, you know some things should stay in the past." It was an interesting warning. Why would he worry about a retired security chief? "Of course, Michael. Prison secrets stay here," I said. But one of those secrets was too big, and what Thompson didn't know was that I had already learned that secret. It all started 3 months ago. During routine inspection in Block D, I had noticed something strange in inmate Carlos Martinez's cell. Carlos was a man serving a life sentence for mafia-connected murders, who had been at San Quentin for 15 years. But his behavior had changed in recent months. Anxious, constantly watching his surroundings, paranoid. "Carlos, is everything okay?" I had asked. He had looked around, then said in a low voice, "Captain, we need to talk, but not here. It's too dangerous." That evening, late at night, while I was patrolling the maximum security section alone, Carlos had approached me. The other guards weren't there. It was just me. "Captain," he had whispered, "you're a good man. I've seen what justice is here for 15 years. I need to tell you something." "I'm listening, Carlos." "Warden Thompson, he's not clean. There are dirty things happening here. Some of the executions on death row, they're not real." My blood had frozen. "What do you mean?" Carlos had looked around, then continued. 3 months ago, they killed Rodriguez. At least that's what we thought. But he's still alive. In the basement, in a secret cell. Thompson made a deal with him. "Which Rodriguez?" I had asked, though I knew the answer deep down. "Miguel Rodriguez. El Patron, leader of the Mexican cartel, officially executed 6 months ago. But, Captain, he's still alive." "Miguel Rodriguez? He was one of California's most wanted criminals. Drug trafficking, murder, extortion. Responsible for 15 deaths. His death sentence had been finalized 2 years ago, and 6 months ago, he had been executed with great media attention." But Carlos was saying he was still alive. "Carlos, this is a very serious allegation," I had said. "Captain, I work in the basement, cleaning duties. Last week I accidentally went down to sub-level 2. I saw Rodriguez there. He was talking with Warden Thompson. Thompson was saying he'll cooperate thanks to his cartel connections." I had been shocked. If this was true, Warden Thompson had made a secret deal with the most dangerous criminal, officially executed him but secretly kept him alive. "Why? Carlos, is there another witness to this?" "Rodriguez's lawyer, Patricia Williams. She's also involved. Fake death certificates, identity changes. Everything is planned. Rodriguez will get out with a new identity in a few months." Patricia Williams. She was one of San Francisco's most famous criminal lawyers, constantly appearing in the media, winning big cases, but a lawyer who had been suspected of unethical behavior for some time. Captain Carlos had continued, "I'm telling you because you're a fair man. For 25 years here, you've never done injustice. But this is wrong. The families of Rodriguez's victims think he's dead. Justice hasn't been served." That night I couldn't sleep at all. If Carlos was right, the biggest corruption in history was happening at San Quentin. But how would I prove it? Who would believe? The next day I started investigating. Secretly, I was the only one who could go down to sub-level 2 in the basement. I had level 9 security clearance. I could access everywhere in the prison. Thompson didn't even know this. That evening, late at night, I went down to sub-level 2. Normal corridors, normal cells. But at the very end there was a secret passage. Only I had the key because I had designed this section. It had been built 20 years ago for special security inmates. When I opened the door, a luxurious room stood before me. Television, bookshelf, comfortable chairs, and there Miguel Rodriguez, who had been officially executed 6 months ago, was sitting. When he saw me, he wasn't even surprised. "Ha, Captain Rodriguez," he said with a smile. "You finally found me." Thompson said, "You would come? You're supposed to be dead," I had said. "Yes, isn't it beautiful?" Rodriguez had leaned back comfortably in his chair. "Thompson is a very smart man. I help him with my cartel connections. He gives me a new life. In a few months, I'll return to Mexico with a new identity." "What help?" I had asked. "Tons of drugs enter San Quentin every month. Trade between inmates. Thompson takes a big share from this. I gave him my cartel connections. He gave me my freedom. A fair deal." I had felt nauseous. Warden Thompson had turned the prison into a drug market, and while doing this, he had protected California's most wanted criminal with a fake execution. "Captain," Rodriguez had continued, "you're a good man, but don't get involved in this business. Thompson is very powerful. He can harm you." I had left his room and gone upstairs. My head was confused. I was angry but also scared. What would I do with this information? The next morning, I was called to Thompson's office. He was sitting at his desk, smiling, but his eyes were cold. "David, where were you in the prison late last night?" "Routine patrol," I had said. "In sub-level 2. He had understood. He was having me watched. "Michael, what you need to do." "David," he had interrupted me. "You're a very valuable employee, 25 years of service. A nice retirement pension awaits you. Value your family. Some things can be complicated." It wasn't an open threat, but the message was clear. "Shut up, retire, don't interfere." "I understand, Michael," I had said, but I didn't understand. I had worked for justice for 25 years. I had kept San Quentin clean, and now I was learning that my warden was a drug dealer. That day, I talked to Carlos again. "What else do you know?" I asked. "Captain, there's a lot. Thompson isn't just keeping Rodriguez alive. There are other fake execution files, too. There are documents in Patricia Williams's office." "But how will you get in there?" I had smiled. "Carlos, I've been doing this job for 25 years. I'll find a way to get into Patricia Williams's office." 2 days later, I went to Patricia Williams's office in San Francisco. I had gotten help from my retired police friend, Detective Martinez. Patricia was in court that day. The office was empty. The security system was easy. I was inside in 20 minutes. What I found in her office safe confirmed all my suspicions. Fake death certificates, identity change documents, secret agreement made with Rodriguez. But not just Rodriguez. What it is? In the last 2 years, fake execution documents had been made for 7 different inmates. All cartel connected, all possessing valuable information. Thompson and Patricia Williams had turned San Quentin into a safe haven for organized crime. I took photos of the documents, copied everything. Now I had evidence. But who would I give this evidence to? Thompson had powerful connections in the California Corrections Department. Should I go to the FBI? To the media? Then it occurred to me. District Attorney Jennifer Walsh, San Francisco DA, famous for fighting corruption. A woman who bowed to no one. I could trust her. The next day I called Walsh's office. "I want to speak with DA Walsh. There's major corruption at San Quentin." "Who's calling?" The secretary said. "Captain David Rodriguez, San Quentin security chief." An hour later I was in Walsh's office. Middle-aged, stern-looking, determined woman. I spread the evidence on the table. "DA Walsh, the biggest corruption in history is happening at San Quentin. Warden Thompson is keeping inmates who should be executed alive, conducting drug trade using cartel connections." Walsh examined the documents. After 45 minutes, she looked up. "Captain Rodriguez, if this is true, it's the biggest scandal in California criminal system history," she said. "But how did you obtain these documents?" "I've been working at San Quentin for 25 years. I know every corner of the prison. Inmates trust me, and I risked my life for justice." "Okay," Walsh stood up. "Tomorrow morning we're raiding San Quentin. We'll work in coordination with the FBI. You'll be with us too." "Of course," I said. "But be careful. Thompson has powerful connections." "So do I," Walsh said with a smile. That night I didn't sleep at all. My final shift would start in the morning, and my 25-year career at San Quentin would end by serving justice. When I went to work at 8 a.m., everything was normal. Thompson was in his office. Guards were doing their routine work. None of them knew what would happen in 2 hours. At 10 a.m., I was called to the retirement ceremony. I would give my farewell speech to the staff gathered in the main hall. Thompson was on stage. He handed me the microphone. "Dear friends," I began, "I've worked for justice at San Quentin for 25 years. At that moment, the doors opened. FBI agents and DA Walsh entered. Behind them were police, prosecutors, media representatives. Thompson's face turned white. "What's happening here?" he yelled. Warden Michael Thompson, DA Walsh, stepped forward. "You're under arrest for charges of aiding organized crime, forging documents, corruption, and attempted murder." The hall was in chaos. Guards confused, staff looking at each other. Thompson collapsed on me. You did this?" "Yes, Michael," I said, approaching the microphone. "I've worked for justice for 25 years. You trampled on it. Now justice has found you." While FBI agents handcuffed Thompson, Walsh turned to me. "Time to go down to sub-level 2. Let's go," I said. We went down to the basement. I opened the secret passage. Miguel Rodriguez was standing there watching television. When he saw the FBI, he was surprised. "Impossible," he said. "I'm dead. I'm officially dead." "Not anymore," Walsh said. "Miguel Rodriguez, you're under arrest." While watching Rodriguez being handcuffed, Carlos approached me. The FBI had brought him too as a witness. "Thank you, Captain," he said. "Justice has been served." That afternoon, everything came out. Media surrounded San Quentin. Fake execution scandal. Prison warden cartel connection. 25-year captain exposes corruption. Thompson and Patricia Williams were arrested. Rodriguez was sent back to death row, this time for a real execution. 7 other fake execution cases came to light. That evening, when I was sitting at home with my wife Linda, she asked, "Do you regret it?" "No," I said. "I've worked for justice for 25 years. Today I also work for justice." 6 months later, Thompson's trial began. I participated as the chief witness. I explained the corruption in the prison, fake execution cases, cartel connections before the judge. Thompson was sentenced to 35 years in prison. Patricia Williams got 20 years. Rodriguez's real execution took place 2 months later. As I left the courthouse, Thompson looked into my eyes one last time. "You destroyed me, David," he said. "No, Michael," I said. "You destroyed yourself. I just served justice. Today I'm retired, but I visit San Quentin as a consultant. The new warden, Jennifer Park, wants to establish clean management. I'm helping her too. Sometimes I visit Carlos. He'll get out in 5 years for good behavior." "Captain," he says, "there's hope here now thanks to justice." When walking through the death row corridor, I remember the words Inmate Rodriguez whispered to me that day. "Captain, do you know the truth?" Yes, I knew the truth. And the truth defeated injustice. On my retirement day, I served justice. The last day of my 25-year career became the most meaningful day, because that day I learned that justice may come late, but it always comes. In San Quentin State Prison's death row corridor, truth always finds its way.